Here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be a shorter session tonight, and as far as I'm concerned, it is a speed run challenge, a lot more organization in shorter time. Welcome to episode 42 of the Anatomy Podcast. Tonight we are talking with Chase of Sulfur, which is so very, very awesome, just because even going back to August 2021, when I saw these guys doing a small leg of shows to promote their original Oblivion EP. This is like one of the only bands I've ever had the opportunity that I had that night, which, well, I don't know if you remember this, but basically when at that time they didn't really have other songs from Oblivion on memory, they did an encore of Oblivion, and I actually ended up jumping on stage with these guys to do the chorus. And then on top of that, after the set was over, even Ricky was like, man, that was actually really cool. That worked out really well. Thank you guys. Have a good night. And I even gave like the security guard there a hug because I'm like, thank you for letting me up there, man, because it's usually an issue. But it was just an awesome experience. And ever since then, man, I have just been shadowing these guys for as long as I can remember. And I mean, what can I say? The new album, The Burden of Faith, is absolutely fantastic. Thank you to those who allowed me the opportunity to listen to it early. Very, very good balance of like metalcore and deathcore with the blackened, anti-religious, anti-god, demonic, you got the disfigured priest on the album cover and shit. It's, I think, I think it's going to be one of the greatest blackened deathcore / metalcore efforts of 2023. And I mean, just those two subgenres together, I think will be a really lethal combination and a good combination for the right people who are into cleans. But again, thank you, Chase, for joining me tonight. We're going to be basically taking a little bit of your time. We're going to be telling your story as much as we can, as from your early life, everything relevant musically to you, and then essentially how you got into Sulfur, got everything kickstarted with that, and kind of give a little, just a good old freaking rewind. So you may take it away, sir, basically, if you will. Let's go ahead and start at the earliest point that you're willing to discuss or that you feel is relevant regarding just like how you ended up getting into music and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, man, definitely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I think it kind of starts from when I got my first guitar when I was like 10 years old. And from there I was like on and off playing. And what really got me into like playing seriously were bands like Trivium, Killswitch Engage, Lamb of God, Bullet for My Valentine. Those types of bands really like I was like, man, this is cool. I want to like play in a band, like I want to do this. I want to play in front of people. And, from then I started like projects as young as like 15, 16, in high school, played local shows and stuff like that. And my last local band was a band called Sigil. Okay. And during the pandemic, I left Sigil because I thought things weren't really going as I had planned, and I wasn't really getting through. I feel like getting through to the other guys, and they wanted to do their own thing, which is perfectly fine. So I kind of just bowed out and was like, "All right, later." And then I was writing with my roommate, pretty much during the pandemic, and a friend reached out to me and she said, "Hey, my friend Ricky Hoover's looking to do music again, and I threw your name into the ring since I know you quit Sigil." And I was like,
right,
yeah, okay, sure, yeah, Ricky will hit me up, whatever. And I didn't think anything of it. And that night he hit me up and he was like, "Hey dude, I saw your guitar videos and you're playing and stuff like that. Would you be interested in starting a band?" And that's kind of like how Sulfur, first formed. So yeah, I mean, as far as like getting like really into playing and stuff like that, I've always thought being in a band was cool. My uncle played in multiple metal bands and still does to this day. So he was kind of like the one who I was like, damn, I want to be like him. You know what I mean?
Awesome. No, that's a great start. And I completely apologize because like I didn't even ask like how you're doing tonight or anything like that. I hope you're doing well though.
Oh, I'm doing great. I hope you're doing good as well.
Yes, absolutely. We got a pretty intense storm coming through here pretty soon. Like
Oh,
just hailing from the northwest really, and just like slamming through this eastern section of the United States. But that's really cool. It's a great way to get the session started. And I mean, dude, so many questions to ask, so little time. So, definitely gonna get through as much of these as possible. And also, before I forget, because I almost did, Randiness says hi. He says, I love you guys. Love everything that you do. He's proud of you guys. And I mean, so am I. You guys have come a long way since Oblivion.
thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I love Randy, and like you always support us as well. So I'm very thankful for people like you and Randy. So
Absolutely,
thank
man. Sweet. And I mean, I like from kind of like breaking it down to a more human level instead of, just asking all these serious press questions from like the beginning, getting Oblivion cooked up and all that with Ricky and others, and then getting to now your first full-length record coming out this March. Like, how is that, man? Because like I've only got my one song out. I haven't even gotten to the EP part yet.
you. Um, it's wild, man. I mean, this is the first full length I'll have ever released with any band I've ever been in. And for that to be a full length on Century Media with Ricky as my bandmate is kind of, fucking nuts to me, like to put it lightly.
Right.
Um, and I've honestly never been more proud of my music, like until this point. And the dudes who worked with me, Matt, who, me and him slaved over this album. Like we made sure that we were very critical in putting certain things in certain places and, making sure the structure was solid. And, I I couldn't be more thankful for everybody on my team, Levi, Ricky, Ding, like,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then Trey from Worm Shepherd is actually with us touring too, and he's been putting in fucking work learning these songs as well. So shout out to him as well.
Shout out to Trey, man. Worm Shepherd. I mean, if no one else in the scene since the beginning of my channel, Worm Shepherd has been like the number one pals. I mean, the first time I saw them live, I've talked about this on the podcast before, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But also, they were, that one of those bands that I could easily officially call my friends. I helped Devin figure out his Facebook community, the fan base now that's very steadily growing. It's a little bit quiet right now. It's a good old freaking ghost town, but that's just because they're working hard behind the scenes to figure out a whole bunch of stuff. And ultimately, that's probably the reason that Trey is going to be touring with you guys here pretty soon. But nonetheless, shout out to him, man. He's always been really cool. Devin and the boys have been fantastic, and I'm excited for their third album, hopefully this year. But I'm pretty sure it might be closer to next year. We'll see. So I wanted to go ahead and touch base with you because when it comes to where Sulfur is based out of, that being Vegas, we got other homies over there that I have yet to host on the podcast. They've had to be quiet, or not quiet, but silent recently, just because of their past. But I don't
Oh,
know, man. Yeah. Like I think one question I would have for you regarding, like, I don't know, how is your perspective? How is you and Sulfur's perspective on the Vegas local scene? Like, how is it there? Is it very interwoven? Is everybody kind of like, yeah, we're going to show up to a show and, come hang out if you want to? Like, what is the environment there for all the local, like the hometown heroes such as yourself now?
it's interesting. So with us, like, I mean, it's one of those things we just kind of like popped out of nowhere, and like originally we had people from other local bands as well, like Parker and Taylor. And then Corey used to be in local bands with me as well. And it is pretty interwoven. Everybody does kind of like know each other. And it doesn't matter like how big the band and or how small the band, everybody kind of seems to like know each other. Like sometimes I'll even see like Chris Kale from Five Finger Death Punch at like death metal shows and stuff like that because he loves that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, I'll see him at shows and stuff like that, but it's pretty interwoven and everybody's pretty friendly with each other. Um, and like for us, it's really weird because like our first show was at Fremont Country Club, which is like I think an 800 cap room, and then we went from that playing that in Vegas to playing House of Blues with As I Lay Dying.
Oh
So it's a
shit.
little bit of a different jump in venue size. So it's kind of like it's cool, and it's like not that we haven't really had to work our way up, obviously, because Ricky being in Suffocate like
Yeah.
already had a fan base of his own. But you know, it's cool because like like for example, our album release show, we can pick whatever like bands we want on the bill, and we have pretty like even with this next one coming up, we have like the best talent in Vegas. We have Imperial Tide, who is like a pissed off metalcore band, kind of similar to like Strife and Path or like one of those bands.
Okay.
Um, you have a deathcore band like Morning Anguish, which is a couple friends of mine. Scrutiny, which is a hardcore band, and then our dudes in Spirit World who are also our label mates, are from Vegas as well. So it's kind of cool getting to see the different like levels, but everybody's like chill. Nobody like is like too rock star. Nobody's
Yeah.
too fucking, there's no, I don't want to say there's no ego because there always is, but it's like, it's very chill. You know what I mean? Like, like everybody for the most part gets along.
Gets
And that's
along. Yeah.
the hardcore and metal scene in Vegas.
Good, good. And that's
Yeah.
always good because I mean, at least speaking for said friends, like just like the hostility from like the I wouldn't say the lower levels because that makes me sound like I don't know from the local scene in Vegas, just like nah, don't play any shows here. I'm like, well shit. It's just it's an unfortunate situation for them. But I really do hope that things pan out and that, explanations are provided eventually. But here's to that. Cheers. Um and I mean, just speaking on behalf of Vegas, man, like whether it be the music or, the fact that it's the city of sin, or like, there's a lot of casinos and shit, and then there's the haunted museum, if that's still the thing,
It is,
with like,
yeah.
okay, yeah. And like, the stories I've heard about that, or the stories that, well, because of the haunted museum and its main owner, its main host, the episodes of Ghost Adventures that they've done over there, like I've always gotten this impression that it's a pretty isolated city, right? And there's nothing it's I've seen that there's like nothing but flat desert around it, surrounding it, kind of like Phoenix.
Mhm.
But it's just there's such a dark, cold aspect to it. And I have a feeling that kind of like it helped you guys fuel what Of Sulfur ended up being. And it's just interesting to think about for sure.
Yeah, I mean, growing up here and it being the city that it is, you see a lot and hear a lot about of like how Vegas came to be, and like all the shit that happened back in like the old mobster days, or
Yeah.
all of that. But yeah, it's an oasis in the middle of the desert, but it's like an oasis in one of those movies that secretly isn't an oasis, and there's always
Yeah.
shitty things going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely fueled my view of like, especially for Of Sulfur being like an anti-religion, anti like, everything band, and you live in a fucking city, like a godless city such as like Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting to say the least. And like, I mean, that's just pure at this point. Like, because Ricky's not from here; he's from Fullerton, California. But I mean, living here, it's like you get the best of both worlds. It's equally as shitty as it is fucking awesome to live here. So
Yeah. And I mean, after all, that's why they continue making movies based in Vegas, or, just like that's what you understand to be the city of sin, or at least Sin City, Jesus. Because I haven't seen that at all. So disclaimer, I'm not that cultured yet. But I like that's kind of the first thing I think of. And I've heard of like the conspiracies that behind the scenes, like the casinos are ran by the Mormon church and shit. I'm like, whoa. like lots of mystery in Vegas, but you know, they are conspiracy theories, so who knows if
Yeah,
they have any foundation to them.
don't really know, man, because like it very well could be. I don't know. Like, because
Right.
that's the time I've heard that, because like for the most part, the Mormons are very like they do their Mormon thing out here, and there's
Yeah.
tons of Mormons, and there's a huge Mormon community out here, especially being so close to Utah.
Right.
Um, like it's, but I mean, it's chill. Like my whole high school was pretty much Mormon when I grew up.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. And one of my best friends was raised Mormon, so it's like it's just a
yeah.
very common thing out here.
Right.
So
Exactly. And while we're talking about religion and stuff like that too, I don't want to dive too into it. Not like to not pry too much because we don't really do that much here on the podcast. But like for example, I myself I like to think I associate with the Satanic Temple and I like to associate myself with Ossature, but no, not Odinism, no, not the Ossature Folk Assembly, because they're legitimately racist and white supremacist and no bueno. So I classify currently as this like uh aligning myself with the Satanic Temple and Ossature. And I remember that a little bit ago you guys ended up doing a live stream of sorts with the Satanic Temple. Like how did that end up going? How was that conversation? Or was that something that Ricky Hoover ended up doing?
no, me and Ricky actually did that interview. It was cool, man. It was interesting. Like for a band that is pretty much labeled as religion, like hate music or organized
Yeah.
music. It's like I like studying religions and I like studying theology, and that means like all of them, anywhere from like Satanism all the way down to Christianity. I enjoy reading about it. I enjoy the like mythology of everything, and because that's really what it is. It's mythology.
Yes.
And you know, it's kind of just cool. Like it's always been cool to me to kind of like see how the other world views things, whereas I am very very much so in the middle, and I don't know what is out there. I don't know what is, I'm more I guess you would say an agnostic point of view, because
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's pretty, you have to be pretty confident to say there's either nothing out there or there's something out there and not know it. It's just like I believe with my eyes. So it's one of those things with that we did that interview, and I go into that with a very open mind.
Mhm.
A lot of people are like, "Ooh, Satanic Temple,
Yeah.
scary,"
Scary.
and like it was just a cool conversation with another person, and she was
Mhm.
very rad. Like obviously, like if nobody's ever interacted with like actual like Satanist or anything like that, they're just normal fucking people, like
Yeah.
who just happen to believe whatever they believe, whether it's theistic or atheistic or whatever.
Mhm.
But it was cool. It was just like a normal interview. Like I would do it again with them if they gave us the opportunity.
Right. Is that interview still available? Because I haven't been able to find it anywhere.
um I don't know. I think it might. I know it was like available on the what was it, Satanic Temple, the
Yeah.
Satanic Temple website. Um, but I don't know if it's still available. I think maybe we have it somewhere, and I gotta ask about that actually.
Yeah. Because
I'm
like
not.
yeah. Because like recently, I guess, and this is just like speaking on behalf of a friend and stuff, at least for a little bit. Said friend had the impression he's like, whoa, they classify as Blackened Deathcore and they had the Leviathan cross, but they don't seem to be like legitimately aligning themselves with the Satanic Temple or Leviathan Satanism. And I told him, I'm like, I mean, yeah, you're right. Maybe I'll just ask them about that one day and like see how they kind of align. Cause I mean, that's always something, that's always a conversation starter, is just finding out how someone thinks on a spiritual level. You know what I mean?
It's cool looking. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty. It's cool looking, and with metal has always been associated with pentagrams and sulfur crosses and
Yeah.
fuck all sorts of things, and it's cool looking. Like, and Ricky's definitely been on that for a very 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 long time. So you know, it's like, no, we don't really align, I guess you could
Yeah,
say. Our stuff is, if you read into our lyrics and stuff, we say there's nothing, like Ricky says, there's nothing out there, right?
right.
And that's a very atheistic point of view.
Yes.
Um, Whereas, but I mean, speaking for all of us, not all of us believe that. Like I just said, I would say I'm more agnostic
Yeah,
than,
agnostic.
you know, anything. I don't really align with any religion. But and like I can't really speak for my other guys. They're not here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
But as
I
far,
mean,
yeah,
what's up? Oh, sorry. Um,
you're
so yeah, there's that question for you, buddy. You know who you are. I asked it for you. There you go. Because like it was kind of a heated conversation for a bit too. He's like, I mean, they like have the imagery and everything. They've talked with the Satanic Temple, but they don't like they don't even classify. I'm like, okay, but calm down, because metal and rock is just associated with that type of imagery. So now we got that cleared up a little bit more if it was never cleared up before. And thank you for providing your perspective upon that matter. I like, let's see, I'm trying to figure out some good stuff to fill time while I have you in chat, because I never thought this day would come, really.
yeah.
Like it's been really cool. Let's see. Are there any, because you mentioned with the Vegas scene and stuff like that, um Five Finger Death Punch, that was a band I remember being mentioned. Like, are there any hometown heroes that you ended up growing up with that just kind of shot into the sky and have been like rocking the charts and shit? Like, could you name a couple from Vegas?
Oh man. I'm trying to think. My buddy Nathan um was in a band called the Seventh Plague Out. And he I'm sorry, one moment.
No, you're fine.
um my buddy Nathan was in a band called the Seventh Plague Out here.
Okay.
And now he plays for a huge reggae band called Ayatera. You might have seen him on TikTok or Instagram Reels. He does Reggae Goes Metal or Metal Goes Reggae.
Oh.
That's that guy. And he grew up playing in a metal band, which explains a whole lot. So that dude is friggin' awesome. I can't forget Nick Arthur.
Oh yeah.
I've known him since I was like, I think 18 or 19, and maybe later than that, but not much. But I grew up with him and I lived with him for a little bit. We were roommates. And that was kind of a trip, because I did love Molotov Solution. I listened to them in high school as well as after. And I never thought I'd be friends with Nick or Robbie, and they're some of my good friends now.
Sure.
So yeah, but those are just a few. Like in the Five Finger Death Punch thing, I Chris Cale just really happened to like of Sulfur. He was a friend of my old drummer in Sigil,
Mm.
and he enjoyed Sigil as well. But he, that was just pure luck. Like Chris is
Mm.
like the coolest fucking dude. Like he'll see me at a show and he'll be like, "Well, fancy seeing you here." And I'm like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in like a year."
Badass. That's actually really cool. Okay. So we've learned quite a bit about you, right?
Yeah.
And I mean we're gonna continue learning more, at least for the next couple minutes. So let's see. You've born and raised in Vegas, right? You've been there the whole time, or did you live anywhere else?
I've lived other places, but I am born and raised here. Went to high school here.
Right.
You know, uh, have childhood friends from here and everything. And it's kind of a rare thing that you're born and bred in Vegas and you end up like staying. Like there's
Yeah.
not this. But I enjoy it here. It's like, like I said, you get the best of both worlds. You get the shitty, but you also get really, the benefits of living in the city are awesome. You can go eat whenever you want. You can go do countless things that are 24 hours. There's never a lack of things to do. Some of the coolest concerts come through here. I wish more metal concerts came through here, but some of the cooler like pop concerts come here as well. Um, and it's just a great city, man. Some people fawn over like New York and LA and all
Yeah,
these other cities, and I wouldn't live in either of those places. Like, it's just not for me, you know.
right.
So
Absolutely. And I mean, now you've kind of had the opportunity to travel out there and be like actually in there in person. So you're like, I know where I want to be, like that's one great thing about touring is you're like, would I want to live here? Nah. Next day, Arkansas. Next day, freaking, it just goes on and on and on. You get to like basically house hunt if you're looking to move out of state, which is that should always be fun. And
yeah,
can't wait for those type of opportunities whenever it does happen for my own project, if it ever does. Um, I think we've learned. Let's see. I'm thinking what we'll go ahead and do real quick
yeah.
is I'm gonna drop a bomb on you, and I'm gonna pluck 5 different artists, albums, or like people. So this could be actors, this could be philosophers that have really impacted your creative efforts overall.
Okay.
So
Okay.
whenever you wish to, you may take it away, sir.
Well, number one, uh, Trivium is my one of my favorite bands ever, and I think my number one album in the world is probably Ascendancy. Like, I heard that album, listened to it front to back, and fell in love with it, and it was one of the reasons why I even started to make music. You know, like without that album, you probably wouldn't get the Sulfur sound that is like pretty much on the Burden of Faith. Um, Number two, Dimebag Darrell from Pantera is my favorite guitarist of all time.
Rest in peace. Or
R.I.P.
yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, you're like, and a lot of people, like, whenever they say Dime is their favorite guitar player, they're talking about like his solo work or his lead work, and whereas I enjoy the Dime groove and rhythm because that's really where I feel like I am strongest in my own band, and I try to focus because a good bass always makes for better songs. Um, Man, Quentin Tarantino.
Fair.
Love, just because he's Quentin Tarantino. Uh, let's see.
Well, here's the thing too. Then Quentin Tarantino, what's your favorite film by him that he's done?
Oh fuck, man. Oh, you're gonna really. Uh, let's see. Man,
Mine so far has been Inglorious Bastards, but it's because I'm a sucker for like World War II movies that niche to that film have the fictional ending of them just absolutely obliterating Hitler instead of him doing it himself. Like,
which is great.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Being I'm half Jewish. My mom is Jewish, and so seeing that in the theater was really satisfying.
Ah.
I was like, yeah, get him. you know, uh, man, I'll probably say Pulp Fiction, and that's like such a fucking standard ass answer.
That's
But
okay.
I really enjoy that movie, and even to this day, I will throw it on and watch it and not get sick of it, and I'll constantly see new things.
Right.
So it's like the perfect movie, really. Like, Inglorious Bastards is close, and then Reservoir Dogs is also very close as well.
Haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Reservoir Dogs, if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's awesome.
I'll add it to the list.
Um, then let's see. We said Quentin Tarantino. I said Dime. I said Trivium. Let's do Howard Jones because of his voice.
Which
Shout
also
out.
featured on the record, which was badass.
Yeah, teenage me is fucking losing his mind. And then, like, I was talking, actually, short story. I told our A&R guy, because he was kind of the one who like facilitated that, and I was like, please tell Howard, like, I love his feature on the record, and that I don't know how I can thank him for like being on something that I helped create. And he literally put me in a text chat with him, and he was like, tell him yourself. He goes, Howard, Chase and Ricky want to say thank you. And I was like, oh my God. And I took everything in me to not fanboy and be like, I fucking love you, man. Like, like, so, Yeah, that was cool. And Howard definitely influenced mine and Ricky's singing. Number five.
Number 5.
Number five. I'm just gonna say Corn because
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
one of the heaviest bands to ever live, and I will stand by that statement and die by that statement.
Die on the hill. A hill
Without
to
them,
die upon, baby.
yeah, we wouldn't have the sound that we have today in deathcore, or metal, or anything without that band.
I
So
can absolutely agree. And like, oh,
yeah.
such a big part of my childhood. Like, first, I'll wholeheartedly admit it started out with Toby Mac, Tayo Cruz, Katy Perry, and all this like, just gross starter kit shit. And then like, I'm like, no, this isn't enough. So my mom had like Nirvana, Korn, Alice in Chains, Credence, Credence Water Festival or something like that. It's a
Mhm.
band. I forgot what their name is for because
Yeah.
I suck. But yeah, she started me with all that, and then freaking roadmap to boom bada bang here. I'm like, I'm Sulfur, wah! But that's awesome, and thank you for providing your perspective and your favorites because that's always fun. And if it's not fun for the listeners, then you're boring. Because it's all about getting someone's perspective. That's why the freaking logo is an eye, people. It just has a cross as the people because I thought that was edgy. So with the time that we have remaining in session, I wanted to quickly ask you, with the burden of faith, with its lyrical efforts, was it both you and Ricky that ended up writing the lyrics? Like, who ended up becoming the main lyric writer for this record?
That I have to give credit to Ricky on this one. Like I would make suggestions, but nothing super critical to the writing process. He wrote those lyrics, man. Like he's the guy. And like even with, Earthen, which is such a beautiful and heavy
Oh,
song.
so good.
Thank you.
So good.
Yeah, man, even with that song, like in stepping outside of his comfort zone to do something he hasn't really done before, it makes me like proud of as a bandmate to see him do that. So it's awesome. It's awesome.
Good, good. Because I was gonna ask you if you wanted to do like track by track lyrical analysis for the record, but instead, I'll go ahead and I'll just keep on bugging Ricky until we get that set up. Just kidding. I'll
Hey,
talk with the A&R, the management. And again, big shout out to everybody over at that team for getting me this opportunity in the first place. Because again and again and again, never in my life did I think I would have such a good relationship. One, with Century Media Records. Two, get any of the opportunities I've gotten so far, that being with Orthodox, now of Sulfur, and hopefully a couple other bands on the label here in the future, because this is a freaking powerhouse. Distant, holy shit, Distant. They just released their new record, man, on the 7th. The
and
boys, the
it
boys.
it's such a good record. Go
Such a
listen to
good
Harry.
record. Oh yeah, go listen to Heritage. And that was another album I got to listen to early on, like back in late January, and that was so much fun. I mean, look, it's right here. It's right here, people. Freaking little signed photo album cover, this gorgeous flag, and all the other freaking goodies that I ended up getting in the collector's edition box. And we don't know who it is because they did not post it on their Instagram, but there was a PS5 giveaway that they did recently for just a gorgeous custom PS5. And I entered in. Apparently I didn't win, but congratulations to whoever did win that awesome PS5. I really hope you enjoy it. Take care of it, please.
Oh yeah.
Because oh my god, I would have polished that every fucking day if I wanted. But I mean, yeah, it's currently 7:34 p.m. We've talked a lot and in such a small increment of time. I've gotten painfully used to doing like 4-hour sessions like we did with Awakened Providence. Never again, because I don't want to take up that much of you guys' time, but I want to make sure that with these sessions, it's like you have more than enough to listen to with now these 42 episodes. Just talking with bands around the world, man. That's what we're here about, is just like plucking the stories, and basically eventually we will be getting like an entire band glossary or encyclopedia. You're like, I want to learn about this band. Well, there's no way anybody's interviewing them. Guess what? And just you come over to the site, blah, 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 blah. I'm like doing way too much promo. But No, that's really cool. And I don't know, man. Like trying to think of any other questions I might have for you. Because other than that, we might actually go ahead and cut it a little bit early. That way, you can enjoy the rest of your evening. Trying to think. Gonna give myself like only a couple seconds to think of something. Was your favorite song on the new record, man?
Oh fuck. Man, I feel like it constantly changes. I love the whole record. My so I'll give you a breakdown of like my top three because it's really hard to do
There you go.
one.
I was about to
Uh,
say three, if not one.
so my first one that I was like, this is the song, is actually the next song we're putting out, Befouler.
Okay.
Um, and that has Alex the Terrible on it.
So
Um,
fucking good.
dude's so fucking pissed off and fast, and kind of something different from like the old of Sulfur stuff.
Seriously.
Um, obviously, Earthen is my baby, and I'm biased, and that's why I didn't put it as first. But Earthen was the first thing I wrote for the album, so I've been super attached to it since, and I think that is one of my favorite, especially with like what Ricky did with it vocally. Just such a good song.
Mhm. The
And
lyrics are
three,
so haunting too. Like Jesus, man. The
yeah,
yeah, the lyrics are so haunting. Like, what kind of God would test a child? Like, that's just been sticking in my brain the whole time. And then I didn't even know it was about anything serious until the music video ended. I'm like, oh fuck. But that added so much more like depth to it. And I really love that about it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
oh,
you.
oh, good. Actually, like little short story, like when Ricky was tracking that chorus, I was with him and we were in LA recording it, and he was in the vocal booth like legitimately like crying like to get that out, because the song was like so powerful for him and his nephew. So
Yes.
you can actually kind of hear his voice um kind of shake because he's about to like break down. So, um, just a little short story for Earthen because I do love that song and it is very
It's
beautiful.
so good, man. Like fuck
Thank
all that gatekeeper shit, bro. I don't care if it has cleans or anything like that. It has depth to it. It has lyrical depth, and that's what really should matter. Not like it's cleans. Like no, shut up, shut up. Like it's okay. Like of course you're entitled to your own opinion, but also it's 2023, people. It's not like okay, Tactosa, Tracheotomy, those type of bands. They are kind of taking up the forefront over in
you.
Florida as far as like the OG no cleans, just like choke, like that type of deathcore. Of Sulfur is different, bro. It's fresh as fuck and it has an OG in it, so boom bada bang. But they're
Yeah.
also trying to experiment. They don't want to make another, Sheol. They don't want to make another Luciferus or Melancholy. So they're going to do their own shit. Anyways, that was my rant.
No, you're good. Which shout out Tactosa and Tracheotomy. Those bands are fucking sick.
They really are though.
uh, third for my favorite. This honorable mention because Howard Jones singing on a song that we
Oh
already
yeah.
so fucking awesome. Like, but my third favorite is probably Unraveling, and I've been listening to it more and more lately.
Mhm.
And Taylor Barber just fucking annihilated that
He
feature
did.
on that. And I'm like, coming in with the Predator fucking clicks, like I was just, oh my
Oh,
god,
that was Taylor.
yeah.
Oh shit. I
You'll
think
see when you hear the song. To
yeah,
anybody who didn't listen,
yeah, right. They're all like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, I
yeah,
haven't heard it yet. Yeah, you will. You will. Be sure to go pre-order, bro. Like pre-say, pre-order, do fucking everything. I know I am on Friday. I'm getting that all over shirt, guaranteed. Like this was such a good fucking record. So
thank
yeah, of course, man. Um, and I mean, yeah, that wraps up your three with an honorable mention favorites from your brand new record coming out this March, which oh my god, man. This is I cannot wait for everybody to hear it. And I am absolutely ignoring every this has too much cleans in it. Like
you. More singing. We're gonna keep doing it, so that's okay.
keep doing it. Keep doing it. Like
We're
you guys, Awaken Providence, you guys are bringing the fucking heat with that type of stuff, and it's a new freaking era. Like it's gonna you're making music, and I'm seeing this like massive resonance really with Blackened Deathcore since 2019 with Luciferus, Melancholy, and Sheol. I think that's what like really kickstarted it, but that's just my opinion. Um, After that, dude, like Immortal, Pain Remains, like even The Chosen and stuff like that. Though I don't directly support Enterprise Earth anymore for just specific reasons.
no.
Like no, not anymore, unfortunately. Um, like there are so many bands in that scene that are just continuing to push the envelope and like, okay, how epic can we make this? How much cleans can we put in this? How much choir can we put in this? Is there still room for a breakdown? Absolutely. And that's just like basically the whole record. And then on top of that, sometimes there's a little like spooky story behind it. With Immortal, it like vaguely was based off of Three Witches, and they're like, ha ha, like we're getting hung, but we'll haunt you forever. Woo! And that was a whole thing. And then like, I don't know, there's just so much going on. But I can easily see this genre, right? Whether it be Of Sulfur, Awakened Providence, Lorna Shore, Shrine, even, I would argue. Because I know they're gonna come back eventually. Again. Like I can eventually see these type of bands making it to Royal Albert Hall and just like having an actual choir or something very similar to Doom Eternal. That'd be so fucking fun.
That would be very sick.
That would
Would
be.
be would be very sick to have a choir behind Up Sulfur.
Yeah, dude. That's the end game goal for me, man. If nothing else, if these other bands like don't want to push the envelope, which I think Lorna Shore is like demonstrating, they're like, yeah, I think we want to push that envelope. I'm like, okay, but let me join you in pushing that envelope even more. We're gonna stuff like 3 envelopes through the slot. They're all gonna get crammed in there, and then you give it a good smack and just mail, But no, like this genre is going places. It's not stopping. It's going to continue innovating, and every band is going to have its own identity, its own place in the genre eventually.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
which
I
should
mean,
be so fucking fun.
yeah, like you said, like bands like Shadow, Lorna, like Enterprise, they're all killing it. Like they're all making their mark. They're all sound different.
Yeah,
And that's the thing is like there are a lot of bands that are trying to do this genre at the moment, and it takes a lot to stand out. And I feel like, even like with us, we're doing what we think is right to stand out, and hopefully we're doing the right thing because it makes us happy, and that's the music that we want to make.
right.
So
Of course. And of course, before we end session, because we got basically 2 minutes to go, wanted to go ahead and mention this monstrous tour that you guys just announced with Chelsea Grin, Card Effects, and Left to Suffer. I hate that I'm basically going to be moving during the process of which I'm going to be moving back to Arizona because I'm currently based in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and the first freaking date is at the Nile, and I'm like, God damn it! Like, I'm gonna miss that shit, bro. And I'm so like, I'm a little grumpy about it, but not too much because it's like you guys are going to be doing more tours in the future. It's not going to be your last one, so boom, bada bang, baby. But I think that's a great way to wrap up the session. Unless if you had anything else you wanted to say, any shout outs, that type of thing.
Um, yeah, I mean, I just listen to the Burden of Faith. Please enjoy it. I know I'm super proud of it, and I hope everybody that does listen to it resonates with it, loves it, likes it. Even if you hate it, like as long as you listened to it and felt something, that's what matters. So,
Yes. As long as you can provide your honest and transparent thoughts and opinions, that's sometimes all that a musician needs. As long as you're not toxic and gatekeeping like the variables we just discussed, just like you did too much cleans. I'm like, get out of here. So this has been episode 42 of the Anatomy Podcast with the absolute legend Chase Wilson of Sulfur. Their new album, The Burden of Faith, comes out this March. Is it 14th to 24th?
fourth, yeah.
24th. Okay. So it comes out March 24th. So everybody, you have plenty of time to pre-order something. Make the merch spread for the pre-order sell out, please and thank you. That would be pretty cool. I know I'm going to be contributing to it either way. And yeah, thank you, Chase, for your time, and everybody else, have a great night.